So Irrational Games announced a brand new BioShock game this week, BioShock Infinite. It's not set in Rapture, it has nothing to do with Andrew Ryan's world, it's set in a sky city called Columbia. And although it's got a completely different universe and new characters, it's got slightly similar themes, you know, social Darwinism, politics, genetic manipulation, you know, human powers, that sort of thing. Now, I'm very excited for it, it looks really cool. A lot of people seem quite hyped for it, but there are a few dissenters, a few people who are upset because it's not set in the sea. There are some people who argue, I kid you not, that BioShock Infinite shouldn't be called BioShock because it doesn't have any water in it, and water equals BioShock. Now, I don't know who came up with that idea, and I'm not here to have a go at those people, even though I think that opinion is pretty stupid. I'm here just to argue my side of, well, what I see really in BioShock Infinite and why I think it's the sequel that BioShock 2 should have been. Now, when BioShock 2 came out, yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it. It was cool. Well, it was a great game. But the storyline aspect of it felt unnecessary. Mostly because in BioShock, the story was done. You know, Rapture had its story. We didn't need to go back there. We didn't need a world without Andrew Ryan. We didn't need to see Rapture 10 years later. I was happy with the story where it was, and I was kind of disappointed that we had to go back and then just add to and take away from the legacy of the first game. So that's why BioShock Infinite is what I think is the sequel that BioShock 2 should have been. In a similar way with how Square Enix treats Final Fantasy, we have the similar ideals, similar themes, similar gameplay traits, but a totally different universe and different characters. And if Square Enix can do it, why can't 2K Games and Irrational? I think as gamers, we're very intellectually lazy if we see the BioShock name and say, well, it has to be set in Rapture. I mean, who came up with that rule? It's Irrational's baby, and they decided they want to use BioShock as a conceptual name rather than this direct name that only relates to Rapture. I mean, what about the BioShock name has to do with the sea? Nothing. It's about biology, it's about genetic manipulation, tapping human powers. And those are the things that are carried over to BioShock Infinite. And I know that some of you will argue that, well, it's not the same experience as Rapture. It's too bright and colourful and it's not underwater and oppressive and dark. And no, it's not the same experience as BioShock. But that's why we've got BioShock 1 and BioShock 2. We've got those experiences, we had those experiences. We don't need another experience like that. We're going to have a totally new experience, and who knows, it might be a better experience. We don't know until we've seen it, and I think that, well, I don't think we'd have had these complaints if BioShock 2 hadn't have come out. And I think that BioShock 2, setting itself in Rapture, kind of did a bit of damage to the franchise and gave us these expectations that BioShock must always be under the water. When really, it's more of a conceptual thing. I mean, don't forget that BioShock is a spiritual successor to System Shock. And again, it's got that Shock name, but it wasn't set in space. It was the themes of genetic manipulation and these various different gameplay approaches that dictated what was part of the Shock name, not the setting. And to me, I just think we're not being very demanding if we think that a sequel must always be this direct reference to the last game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to BioShock Infinite. I think this is what BioShock 2 ought to have been from the very start. And yeah, I think arguing to the contrary is like saying that Final Fantasy 2 shouldn't have been called Final Fantasy 2 because it's got different characters. I mean, in fact, what relation does Squall have to Cloud? You know, that's not a direct sequel, is it? You see, it's just a very silly logic, I feel. And I wouldn't let that get in the way of enjoying what looks to be a very promising game so far. So yeah, I'm looking forward to BioShock Infinite, I hope you are too, and yeah, I think we're done here. Goodbye.